What's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today we need to do some work in the wood yard. I've got a lot of trees I need to get split up, and I'm gonna go ahead and build a couple firewood bunks. I'll get one of them built today, just so as I'm splitting I can throw it in there to keep all the wood off the ground until I can get it stacked into totes or however I'm gonna store it. You wanna try and keep your firewood off the ground. That's gonna help it dry better. It's gonna help keep moisture and bugs and everything else from getting into it. Let's go get the big tractor since it's got the pallet forks on it. We'll grab some pallets and head down to the wood yard. Trying to take it easy right through here because it's so rocky, and I really don't want to knock over this whole stack. Okay, well, the pallets are down here in the wood yard, so I'm gonna go take the tractor back, get my tools, get the Ranger, and come down here and start putting this thing together. Okay, so what I'm thinking so far is I've got 14 pallets right here, and I think the first bunk that I want to build is going to be for this right here. This is my hickory stash. So what I'm thinking is going 3 wide on the floor and then putting walls on it and a back on it, and then tie the tops together with some stainless wire. Let me show you that. So I picked up this stainless wire off of Amazon. It's just tie wire, it's stainless. It should last quite a while, keep from rusting and everything to help tie those tops together. So if you don't put anything to tie it together, once you get the weight of that wood built up inside the bunk, the walls can just give away on you. So we need to do something just to help keep everything rigid. Okay, so I'm gonna start putting some of these on the ground. I'm going to avoid these ones. This is some of that press wood. As soon as this stuff gets wet, it just basically disintegrates. So I'm not gonna put any of those on the ground. Those will probably be okay for the wall, or if I need to cut a pallet apart to use some of the wood, those will be the ones I use. These ones that have the solid wood, these will be fine. These will last a long time. I'm gonna go ahead and start laying out 3 across the ground, and we'll get this bunk put up. So I'm trying to use the more heavy duty pallets to be put on the floor of this bunk, just because they're going to be supporting quite a bit of weight. So my thoughts on this is to leave the center pallet resting on the outer two, just to allow more airflow through the bottom of it. I don't know if that's going to help or not, but I'm going to try it out on this bunk. So this raised center, to me, really looks like a inviting place for skunks or whatever else critter wants to start living there. Okay, so I think what might be easiest on doing these walls is actually just turn the pallets on their side, because on these boards, I should be able to run a screw just straight down through these into the pallet below it. So I think that'll actually work out better. Just stick them up like so, screw it to it, and then I'll still tie it together with stainless wire whenever I'm done. So I'm probably going to have to get some other screws out of the shop for this side since there's two boards put together. But this side should be able to hold just fine. Okay, yeah, these screws are too short. Let me go run and get some of my 4.5 inch screws. That'll be plenty to hold that. I've got some 5/16 by 4 inch screws. We'll be able to run down through there into that bottom board. Okay, so I got some big heavy duty screws that'll work just fine on tying all this together. So we really just need something to hold the bottom, which going right down into the uprights of the pallets, I think is going to be just fine. The strength, I think, for the most part, is going to be that stainless wire tying everything together. Okay, this is one of the pallets that kind of have this junky press board on them, which I'm not a huge fan of. I think I'll toss this one to the side. I think this will be the one. It's a good looking pallet, just wish they didn't use that junk in it, because that ain't going to last no time. So I think this pallet, I'll go ahead and just use it to take things apart, because I am going to have to use some boards on a few different ones to tie all this stuff together. Now, something we need to be mindful of is not leaving any of these boards with nails on them hanging out here. I don't have any cows in this pasture as of right now, but I need to go ahead and get this stuff picked up. I'll use several of these, but I need to get most of it picked up before any of the cows do get into this lot. Okay, I need to go get a couple more pallets. I believe I've got the one I'm taking apart for pieces. Also, I think on the corners, some of these pieces I've taken off this other one. I think I may just do a 45 and nail to each one. I think that'll probably be rigid enough to hold everything together this direction. But we'll still use the stainless wire, tying it from the walls to themselves. Okay, got some more pallets. These are ones that I had hay stacked on for quite a few years, so the back side of them don't look the best, but the front side's decent. So same deal, I'll run some screws down, just a couple to hold that bottom, and then we'll keep building this wall down. Yeah, some of these boards look awful. Some of these older pallets have been sitting on the ground for a long time. Pretty rotten. Top boards are fine, and these side boards are fine for the most part, but it's fairly rigid. I think it'll hold firewood. So I think as old and decrepit as some of these pallets are that I'm using, we'll just tie the tops together. Just run a screw in each end just to kind of help keep it rigid. Okay, this is what I wasn't wanting. Two different heights. I think we might be able to make it work still. Ain't gonna look pretty. Ain't gonna win no beauty contest, but it should serve its purpose. Well, my 12-year-old could probably build something as good a quality as this, but it is what it is. It's gonna serve a purpose. It's gonna be out here in the weather all the time. It'll hold firewood. Okay, well, this wall is done. Back wall, we need to add one over in that far corner, and then another 3 pallets down this side. Then I can tie it together with the wire. Okay, on this corner, I'm not sure exactly what to do with it just yet. The pallet I put on the back side, you can see overhangs the pallet I've got to use here. I can put it right up here, and then I've got half of a pallet hanging off, which is not ideal. So what I'm thinking on doing is spinning this pallet. Yeah, I'll lose some corner but I think I can put it in at an angle. Yeah, I'll lose this little bit right down here. I can tie this top together still the same way with this board. I can still screw it down. I think that'll be fine. I think I can do that. Keep it out close to the edge. Now that is going to make me a little off right here where my pallet isn't starting necessarily at the seam like it did on the other side, but that's fine. It can be a little short. This design, you can add to it. If you fill it up and you've got more hickory, or you keep staging more hickory out there, you can keep adding to it. It's not a permanent thing. So I think that's what we'll do. I'll just screw it down as is, nail this in. I think that'll work. Okay, that's about as solid as I think it's gonna be. Okay, we're almost done with this project. A few more pallets and some wire, and we're gonna be all good. Okay, same deal. I'm gonna add a board here. I don't know if really that's needed. To me, it's just gonna make it more rigid. Yeah, let me add a board. That is probably not needed. All the people I've seen on YouTube that have made these style of bunks in the woodyard, Chris, he just ties wire, stainless wire, from one side to the other, leaves it kind of loose in the center. Once you fill it up with wood, the walls are gonna naturally want to bow. That string will tighten up, or it'll be mashed enough in between all the other wood, it's not gonna stretch. So let me find another piece. Okay, I think this will work. Just, again, one screw in each end. So I feel like I have more money in screws than this thing than it's actually probably worth, but that's fine. It's gonna serve its purpose. It's gonna hold wood until I can get it stacked somewhere. I prefer to stack my wood. Space isn't an issue here. I can put thousands of these around. There's more than enough room to put firewood bunks around. And those are fine. Those are just quick and easy. A lot of times when me and my son are splitting, we split and we just throw it in one big pile on the ground. But the issue is sometimes with my schedule, I can't get back to that to get it picked up off the ground for a few weeks sometimes. So I would rather have it split and put in something like this where it is going to stay off the ground for however long. I could leave it for a month, 2 months, whatever. It really doesn't matter. It's off the ground, it's going to get airflow, but eventually we will be pulling the wood out of this and stacking it into either totes, or I'll build some firewood racks out of pallets or something. So this is just really a step for me to, when I split something, it can get tossed in here. I'm going to build another one for the oak. This one's solely going to have hickory in it. I have a lot of hickory on this property, a lot of dead standing hickory and a lot of dead standing oak. Just being able to split this stuff, throw it in the bunk, and kind of almost a set it and forget it type deal for a while until I can get to it, then this is going to serve its purpose just fine. Okay, last pallet. This pallet does have double boards on the top and bottom, or the sides, I guess I should say. I am going to have to use the 4.5 inch screws to be able to reach down to the main pallet. Okay, this will be the last board for this. Get it all tied together. I'm really not sure how much wood this thing's going to hold. 3 pallets, 2.5 pallets wide, 3 pallets long, roughly. I mean, there's variations and everything, but I don't know. Looks like it's gonna hold quite a bit. Okay, well, let's get some of the stainless wire put on this thing. Okay, so again, this is a 16 gauge stainless wire. There's 360 feet in this roll. Came off Amazon. You can search for it. I'm using stainless just because carbon wire, like what you'd get on square hay, I've got a lot of that around here, and I keep all of my wire off my square hay. Anytime I bust a bell open, I take the wire, I fold it up, and I go put it in a drum inside the shop where it's out of the weather and put up. That wire I use around the farm all the time, whether I got to put up a new cattle panel or fix some fence somewhere or just tie something up. That wire works great, but that wire is not a long-term use. That wire, when it's out in the weather, getting rained on, it rusts and it'll break after about a year. It just does not last that long. The stainless wire should last a whole lot longer, so that's why I'm going with stainless, and it should be stronger. So let's get the wire installed and this bunk's gonna be done. Okay, so I think the best course for this is every pallet across from each other, I'm gonna make a loop, tie it to itself, and just stretch it over to the other side, tie it to itself. I'm not gonna make it real tight. It looks like I'm gonna need three pieces of this to tie all this together. I'm just going in the center of the pallet, finding a place where it's fairly strong, and I'm gonna wrap it around several times, just because I don't want this to be the part that comes apart. Now I've got some wire that I use around the place for hot fences whenever I have to put up a hot fence, and it's a galvanized wire. That stuff also won't rust, it'll last a long time, but that stuff is kind of wicked to work with. It's pretty stout stuff. This stainless wire so far doesn't seem to be too awful. It's not totally tight, but I think that's going to be just fine. Because I'm going to throw wood in here, it's going to be hitting the wire, so it should be fine. If I break a piece, then I'll just replace it. Probably a smart thing to do would have been to start on the far end. That angle pallet on that one corner kind of threw me a little, but it's fairly solid. This is just a little added security, I guess. I think just wrap it around twice. That should hold. We'll know soon enough. So any guesses on how much wood this thing's gonna hold? You guys know the size, roughly. When it comes up belly high anyways, I think we're gonna be able to get quite a few ricks of wood piled up into this thing. Not sure exactly how much, but that's okay. I'll feel a lot better once it's actually full of wood. This is the easy part. Getting all that stuff split with the splitter I have, that's a little more challenging. I think this is gonna work just fine. How do you all store your wood? Do you do bunks like this? You just throw it in a big pile out on the ground? You stack it? You build a little wood shed for it? All sorts of ways to store firewood. This is just something quick and easy for me. That's all it is. Quick, easy, and cheap. There's a feed store that I frequent pretty regular that always has pallets piled up out on the dock for anyone just to come pick up and take. Otherwise, they throw them in the dumpster. If you're needing pallets, don't go buy any. There's all sorts of places around, businesses and stuff that give pallets away. You can even find them on Marketplace pretty regularly. Business will say, you know, show up during these hours on these days and take as many pallets as you want. I don't know. To me, it's not something that a person should buy. They're everywhere. You just got to look for them. They serve a lot of uses, a lot of purposes. There's people that's built a lot of cool things on YouTube out of pallet wood. There's a little bit of work going into taking them apart, pulling the nails out if that's what you're wanting to do, but there's a lot of wood here. There's a lot of good wood here, a lot of rough sawn, a lot of hardwoods. So don't go buy pallets. Just look around, you can find them. The free wood bunk is done. I say free, the screws I already had on hand, but if you had to go buy, obviously there's cost involved. Time is money anyways. But essentially, this is a free wood bunk for me to store all my hickory in. I've got a lot of hickory. So anyways, guys, hope you found some of the information helpful. I'm curious to know how exactly all of you all store your wood, whether you stack it. Do you use pallets at all? Do you stack it on pallets? Do you have your own little wood shed, metal pallet racks, IBC totes? How do you all store your firewood? Or do you use a combination of different things, like I'm using a bunk and then I'll stack it at a later time? Bunk's just gonna be for storage, but I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, give the video a thumbs up, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks.